Hello, Captains. Post Time Skip Sam here, and welcome to my live discussion of Honkai Impact 3rd, Chapter 22, Me and Myself. I'll be talking about whether memories define a person and how incredibly dope this chapter was. Also, as a reminder, July 5th, I'm moving this channel over to my main channel, which I could post in the links in the video description down below about more details on that. Because, hey, Chapter 25 is going to start July 5th, so I just want to make sure that you all know. Okay, so I have gathered my thoughts. I have gathered across the nation, across the world, questions from myself, from you on the Discord, from you on YouTube, and also from the folks hanging out in the live chat right now. And if you want to learn how to submit questions for the next chapter, Chapter 23, where we're actually going to be diving into Melee, you should be till the end of the video, and I'll talk about how to submit your questions then. Okay, so without further ado, I bet you wrote a whole essay on this. You are not wrong. I wrote a lot for this. You're not wrong. So let's begin with my chapters. I will need the headphones on because we are going to be doing a live reaction to Shattered Samsara, which I've already seen, but we're going to watch it again. It's very exciting. Okay, let's start off with my first question we have here today. Overall feelings on the chapter. And now my overall feelings on this chapter actually kind of cover a few different questions. So this question is more of like a large category. And welcome, Aura Guardian, to the discussions. Overall feelings to chapter. This chapter is amazing. It's freaking amazing. It's so good, and you all have sent a lot of amazing questions that will kind of fill out why I consider this chapter so amazing. It's something that, like, I haven't yet seen in Honkai Impact. And it's just culmination of the couple of not only the last 2 chapters, but also the several chapters before then. It's just a wonderful build up to where we are right now. It's absolutely amazing, but of course, the questions that you all have asked are actually, those will kind of fill out why I consider this to be one of my favorite chapters. So, another part of this is like the environments that stuck out to you. Really, besides the finale, besides the last arc where everything goes absolutely bonkers and it's so incredible. The other parts of the chapters are you're really just re-exploring the different aspects of their past, of technically Fua's past, as well as environments you've already been to before. So they don't really stick out. But of course, the final fight, that ending moment, the ending environment is what is definitely amazing stuff. But of course, that's going to be towards the end of this video where we talk about that final fight. We got questions for that. So, how do we feel about the progression system? It's much like Chapter 21. There's nothing there that inhibits my progress in playing through the main story, so it's 100% okay. A comment for myself as well is I absolutely love the part where Hua is trying to show Kiana and Hua like the mistakes that happen in Hua's life, and then they're watching over Rita running around the Sheiksul headquarters, and then Hua's like, that Rita, she's like messed up. I don't think she has a mind of her own. And what's so funny about that moment is because there is an AI, like in terms of the player character, Rita is running around like an NPC would normally run around. So the fact that even Hua's like, she looks messed up, like she doesn't have a mind of her own. It just adds more funny and credence to like Rita just being controlled by an AI just moving around Sheiksul very awkwardly. I was like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Hua's already on my like best character list just by saying that alone. So I loved that. Next question we have is also for myself, which is Kiana trying to make Hua doubt herself that she is the real Hua. And we'll talk a bit more about memories in that moment, but I do love the fact that Kiana is like, instead of like trying to just fight her face on, which, I mean, they technically did at the beginning of this act, her and Bronya tried to face off and had no way of defeating her. But now it's like, okay, let me make you doubt yourself that you are the true Hua. So I love that this is the catalyst for us going through this adventure of looking at the past, seeing what Hua would be different from Hua. It's kind of wonderful. And yeah, as you know, as our Guardian mentions, like being head to head against Hua is just suicide. So like, don't even try. Don't even try. So from MrSnurgles, the question is, how do you feel? Oh, let's switch over there. There you go. How do you feel about the chapter having the good outcome? Kiana saving Hua after defeating the Herrscher of Sentience. I love it. I love it. I'm someone who gets very tired of like the modern media. Let's flip over to something interesting here. Okay. I love, and yes, as you notice, I used the chapter 22 screenshot for chapter 21 thumbnail because it's just a good screenshot. Anyways, what I love a lot about this, and what I hate about a lot of modern media, is that I feel like too often people think that to tell a good story, it needs to be dark, gritty, and everyone needs to die. And it's like, no one really needs to die, or there doesn't need to be some dramatic, like, bad ending for things to make sense or for things to be good. And I think this is like a great, I think this is freaking great. Like the fact that like Kiana goes to save Hua, where you think like, oh, this chapter ends and it's like, it's kind of like done. I do like the fact that Hua does get saved in the end, because I don't know, her dying there doesn't feel right. I don't know, it doesn't feel good. And as our Guardian mentions to this point here, like dying does give an impact, but it gets tiring and you become numb to that point. And I do absolutely agree. I feel like if you're using death as a constant way of adding like something dramatic, I think that's like, I don't know, it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of weak, right? You shouldn't be relying on death as an impactful thing. Like the reason why Himiko's death matters so much is because it doesn't happen frequently. It doesn't happen a lot, right? If every character dies at the end of every chapter, then like, why should I start caring about these characters when I know they'll die? And as Snurgle mentions, like a good point, the only chapter with a happy feeling at the end, which I would say there are a few other chapters after this, but we can go back to that later. And then as Herrscher Free-to-Play mentions, modern media thinks to have a good story, you always have to have a villain to commit mass genocide every time they attack. And I absolutely agree. Nothing has to always be world ending. So I do agree with that. Nothing always has to be world ending. So let's move on to the next question, which is, if Senti and Hua become two separate entities, aka two separate physical bodies, do you think the other Valkyries siding with Anthropy will accept Senti as a friend? I think so. I think that if, let's say, Senti were to have a body of her own, I think after this chapter, after these moments where Senti kind of realizes and understands maybe that, like, there are people who care about her, because I feel like, and we'll get with this when referring to Kiana and Senti and their relationship, but I feel like Senti has a lot to learn from Kiana. And I think that Senti being her own body, her own self, is basically how Kiana felt when she was like literally a few chapters before during Arc City, when Kiana was kind of in this state of like I don't know if I'm good enough. Like, you know, am I even myself? Like, am I even the real person I think I am? So I think that is really, I think that's important. So I do think that she's not going to be she's not going to kill everyone like she wanted to. I think that Kiana and her relate so much, and there's going to be questions about that relationship, which we'll get to. So let's move over to the next question, which is, how do you feel about Fu Hua trying to accept the Herrscher of Sentience, and how do you believe that relationship will grow? That is a good question. I think that how do you feel about Fu Hua's trying to accept Herrscher of Sentience? How do you believe that relationship will grow? I hope that relationship will grow very similar to how Seele and her other relationship are. Because I think that is the end. This will get, we'll go slightly into chapter 23 a bit, but I think having equal grounds is kind of where I want that relationship to be, where Senti doesn't feel that she is the lesser form of Fu Hua, and she doesn't feel that because she shares the memories with Fu Hua, those are not also her own. So I would love that relationship to grow as Senti being a character that you can actually talk to, where people not only just talk to Fu Hua, but they also want to talk to Senti. So I hope that is the case, because I don't want this character to just be ignored and have her, have her pout and have her not want to come out. So hopefully we'll get some stuff where Senti really starts to shine and really starts to show more of herself. So fingers crossed. And let me make sure, checking the chat really quickly. And as Herrscher Free to Play says, Senti definitely has a chance to change, or as I say it, turn to the right path if she had a body of her own. And exactly. And I think that's also what she slowly starts to learn throughout this chapter as well. Even though she does get upset that she didn't get her way, I think she's also like a kind of a pouting kid who like understands that like what Kiana and Fu Hua did was right, but like I'm still not happy with that outcome, right? So she's just kind of pouting all the time. As the Herrscher of Sentience from our Guardian, as the Herrscher of Sentience, ignoring the truth is the easiest thing in the world for me. And there's that point of just like, why, like I understand that these things are correct, but like, this doesn't make me happy. I'm just going to kind of ignore that situation. So I agree about that as well. And then let me move over to, let me make sure I have, okay. Next question here, because I have categories listed, and I know Elysian asked a question about between Senti and Fu Hua, so we'll have a relationship question about those. But here's another question by Elysian Empire. How do you feel about Senti going through a rebellious phase, running away, and becoming a nomad? I think this works. This works for this character. Because she is a character who has all of a sudden woken up with memories of someone who's doing things that she would never do. And she's also like, in these moments where, Kiana, like where no one believes her, that the memories that she has is of her own memories. Like, yeah, she definitely having that rebellious phase, absolutely. It's totally okay with her having this phase, having her this look. Look at this! Oh, hold on, I got distracted by this CG right here. Oh my god! Oh, she's oh wait, hold on! Don't spoil it. We're gonna talk about her. We're gonna talk about her final form later. We're gonna move. We're not gonna show that scene just yet. Okay. So about the rebellious phase. Anyways, about the rebellious phase. I love the fact that she has the rebellious phase. I think this gives her a more teen angst, childish kind of look to her character about her being, I mean, as we mentioned in chapter 21, her only having a few days in this body, of her waking up, of her realizing, that she is a person. I think it's absolutely fine, and it adds a lot to the character. I just hope that she does eventually grow out of it, or that she eventually learns her mistakes in life. So fingers crossed on that. And then, do you feel, and this is from Herrscher of Free-to-Play, do you feel that Senti deserves a second chance to change her ways? Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% want her to have a second chance. From what I'm trying to remember, the worst thing she has done so far in the story is to kill Otto's clones. And I feel like that's not a bad thing, right? I mean, she definitely has potential to do a lot worse, obviously, but I think that she definitely deserves a second chance. And ultimately, what's so great about the Honkai story is that unless you're Otto, no one's truly a villain. And even with Otto, there are still a lot of things you can relate to him because he is still human, and the reasons for him being a villain, for him being evil, are justified in what he does. So I definitely feel that Senti definitely deserves a second chance. And I hope that all the other characters also give her that second chance. And as Herrscher Free-to-Play mentions, Senti has the consciousness of a child and a teenager at the same time. And then to the point about Otto, our Guardian brings up that Otto is relatable, but not a hero. And that's exactly why he is such a good villain, is because you can understand where he's coming from. It's just that we all know it's pretty bad. It's all pretty bad. The next question we have is from our Guardian as well. Do you think that the relationship between the Herrscher of Sentience looking at her actions and the girls showing her faults had a good result? And do you think it was a plot point that could hold on its own? I absolutely think that this is a plot point that can hold on its own. And I think the reason for that is because so the biggest thing is obviously the Kiana and Senti relationship. Like, obviously, if you just look through the Hua chapters, chapter 20, 21, and 22 alone, it's not going to quite make sense for what Kiana's, why it's so important for Kiana to communicate with Senti. But aside from that very specific moment, I think those 3 chapters are standalone chapters. You can watch that and you can fully understand, because you get the entire life of Hua. Much like the way Senti is introduced into the story, you have no idea who this character is. All you know is that this character looks like another character. So I feel like these 3 chapters stand alone as their own thing, which is really cool. I think that's super important for a story, to have chapters that stand alone, that you can say like, hey, check out this chapter is about Hua. Obviously, there are contexts about Kiana, but for the most part, learning about Senti, learning about Hua's past can really just be seen in these 3 chapters, and you got the big gist of it. Next question. Okay, so this question is about memories, and this question was actually asked for chapter 20, but I kept it for chapter 22 because specifically the last part from Haha M, which is the most touching thing for me, is the topic of meaning of memories. I would like to ask you, what do you think about memories? And I answered this question in chapter 20, but I also saved it for this chapter because it actually matters a lot in this chapter. And basically, when it comes to memories, right, this chapter asks the question, do memories make you the person you are? And I would say for the most part, yeah, it's a yes or no, right? Because if you look at folks with dementia who are losing their memories, you're not going to say that, oh, you're not the same person I once met. Like, you are that person, but those memories also hold a lot of importance to you and your connection to a person. And I think that's what's really, really important about Hua. Like, Kiana and Hua are constantly like, these are not your memories, these are not your memories. But like, to me, when I see Hua, these are her memories. Like, despite us knowing that Hua truly experienced this, like, when you wake up and all you know is the memories of someone else, I would say that those are still your memories. Now, obviously, you know, I think there is an importance to letting Hua know that, like, hey, you are technically borrowing or sharing these memories. But I also feel like, I don't know, if you wake up and you have the memories of someone else, like, I'm not going to sit here and start to force you to, like, these are not your memories, stop remembering like that. Like, I don't know. She doesn't have any memories of her own besides Fua's, and for me, that I accept that as her own memories. I don't know. It's very confusing, but I don't judge Hua harshly for not having her own memories, for sharing Fua's memories. And our guardian also mentions another thing about memories. One question about memories: do you think if young Hua, before the Herrscher of... Wait, what's TE? Why am I not remembering TE? Would have acted differently if she saw the present memories? Why am I not remembering what Herrscher of TE is? Void. Okay, Herrscher of the Void. Okay. Do you think if young Hua, before the Herrscher of the End, would have acted differently if she saw present memories? That's a good point. Interesting. Yeah. Do you think if would have acted different? I think she would have acted differently. Just because when we look at Hua, she sometimes tends to fall into the same routine every so often because she doesn't really quite remember her pasts. And I think if she did, she would definitely so Herrscher for this. Is Herrscher of the End the previous era, and the current era is Herrscher of the Void? Or are these... So that's the other question I have. Because I always thought that they were roughly the same character-ish. They're fulfilling the same role of just ending the worlds. So her is Serpent. Okay. Herrscher of the End is also current era, not the same, and is the Serpent from HOV. Okay. I see. All right. I got you. Okay. Thank you all for clearing that up. Yeah, back to that question here. Honestly, I would say yes. I think the reason why Hua... we're almost there. We're almost there. Here, well, actually, yeah. So, I don't want to spoil the final form of Senti just yet, you know. Herrscher of the End is the 14th. Herrscher of the Void is the 2nd. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. But yeah, so the answer to answer that question, I think things would be differently because Hua is someone who's capable of learning from her mistakes. It's just that she doesn't remember her past mistakes. And I think that's the biggest issue. So I think things would have ended better. But of course, obviously, the better story is that for her not to remember. Next question. This is from MrSnurgle. I assume you watched Honkai Operation Center Hua, and you know the brief story of Hua. What do you think when you discover Hua's detailed story and to the fact that the Herrscher becomes Hua? So, I think like the Operations Center kind of gave me this great brief overall view of Hua's story, but truly learning about the details of her story, learning about her loneliness, which was just something that I didn't really see was very apparent, you know? I loved learning about her story, and specifically learning about Hua's loneliness, going through her, and then also the fact that the Herrscher of Sentience is a Herrscher that woken up in Hua's body not quite sure what was going on, and basically accepted the memories of Hua as her own. And I think that's amazing. I think that's actually pretty amazing. So I love that. I do absolutely love that. Yeah, I freaking love these 3 chapters, and specifically this last chapter is incredible. You'll learn so much. All right, next question. Act 5 is when the Herrscher sentience obtains her true form. And let's just admire this scene right now. Look at how good this is. It is so freaking cool. Her new look. Hold on, where is it? Wait, no, we can't go there yet. We can't go there. We have not yet talked about that scene yet. I just love her new look here. She just looks like, because obviously I've been playing the game, right? I've seen this character. I've seen her form, her final form before. And I was waiting for that moment of like, I remember her looking different. But what happens? When does this moment happen? And then this is like, as soon as she turns into her true form, just this chapter goes from a 9 out of 10 to a 12 out of 10. Immediately. As soon as she changes form, it's like, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Yeah, her true form, that's 11 out of 10. She's amazing. Amazing. How do you feel, and this is from Elysian Empire, how do you feel about Senti connecting to Kiana more than anyone else? I love it, and it makes sense, right? The Kiana trying to Kiana having a lot of issues, right? Kiana not only trying to struggle with the fact that, she was considered a clone, to also Kiana struggling with the fact that, like, there is a Herrscher inside her that wants to end the world. Like, she's struggling with a lot of stuff right now. Oh, and her best friend left her, so she's having a rough time. So Senti here obviously is going to connect with her a lot more, because to Senti, she's also struggling with a person who at least the way Senti views it is that person who doesn't want her anymore, right? Although Hua has definitely said that, like, I still want you with me, Senti still is not taking that as, like, fact. She's just taking it as, like, you're just trying to say that so that you're gonna have me leave and then you're never gonna use me again. And so I think she definitely feels this this relationship. And so, and as Elysian kind of clarifies to this moment, not quite. The persona was born in Fua's body and was overwhelmed by Fua's memories, meaning whatever original goal of the persona was washed away and overwritten. Okay, so instead of that actually makes a lot more sense. Like, it was strange to learn that, like, the Herrscher didn't want to do, like, the Herrscher was, like, not as destructive as the rest of what we've seen. So I guess that makes more sense, right? That she was so overwhelmed by Fua's memories that, like, the original goal and intent was kind of washed away. So that does actually make a bit more sense for that. But yeah, this is why I love this chapter, honestly. It's good. It's really, really good. Oh, what's next here? How would you like for Senti and Hua or Kiana to interact in the future? I would like that for... This is actually a very simple question. Hua and Kiana, I would like them to react to Senti as a human, as another person that's just sharing the body of Hua. I don't want it to be where, like, Hua is only going to use Senti when she really needs to. I would like there to be moments where, like, they're just trying to communicate and talk to her. Because she's an amazing character, and I don't want her to, like, be locked away, you know? So that's kind of how I feel. I hope that they interact with her, not in a, oh no, the world's ending, we need Senti or else we'll lose. Like, no, I want them to go, like, hey, I just want to talk to you, you know? Like, what's up, Senti? How you been? I know when we did the fight, it was kind of rough, but hey, I hope you're doing all right. You know, I want, like, just, like, very small talk between between them. And then I know Elysian had another question about this, so let me just make sure I can find it. Thoughts on the Senti and Fua's ending conversation? This one, it's a bit heartbreaking because if I'm not mistaken, this is the conversation about like not feeling wanted. And that one hurt because you just want to tell Senti that like we're just trying to help you out, right? We just want to like comfort Senti and let her know that like, hey, it's okay. We will, like, you are an amazing person. Like, what we did is not meant to like hurt you or cause you pain. Like, it was meant for the betterment, but obviously Senti is not taking this in that way. And I think that's what kind of hurts about these conversations between her and Fua. Because it's kind of Fua trying to let her know and Senti not really, you know, not really accepting it, you know? So that's what hurts, you know, because you hear Senti's side of the story and you're like, man, it's not like that, man. It's not like that. So I do love this ending conversation. And as Herrscher Free to Play mentions, if someone has lost humanity, they can gain it back, meaning Senti can become a regular Valkyrie. Anyone who is treated like a human can become a human. I absolutely agree. And as Elysian also mentions, remember we have cloning tech, Solium bodies, mechs, androids, cyborgs, so Senti can have her own body separate from Fua. Exactly. So I hope we do get to see more of Senti, and I hope that, you know, I hope that we can break through to her. Break through to her, please. And then we have a fun question from Aura Guardian, which is one question for power scaling. If Herrscher of Sentience fully adapts to her power, do you think she could surpass the other Herrschers like May? I think so. I think that the Herrscher, just using Herrscher of Sentience as like an object that has gained sentience, like I feel like she can definitely become a lot more. Very cute scene with Fua coming to everyone. I'm back. Welcome. But anyways, let's go. Let's cut to here. Oh wait, no, we can't go to the fight just yet. Yeah. So this is kind of how I feel is that, and I feel this is with a lot of Herrschers. Like May shouldn't be the only Herrscher who fully realizes her powers. There are, like, you look at the Herrscher of Reason, you look at the difference between what Welt has done to what Bronia has done, and we really haven't seen the true potential of what, like, Joachim has done, right? So there are so many different ways, and I think that's what tells a great story, right? Is if we were thinking about it in power scaling terms, all these Herrschers can be neck and neck with each other. Obviously, some are more stronger than others. Obviously, if you had a fully realized Herrscher of the Void, that's a lot different than other Herrschers. But I think a Herrscher that is named after sentience, I think if they were able to maintain full power, definitely would be on par with May for sure. Next question is, if we say that Fua is the Senti older sister, mother, or motherly figure, would Kiana be the sister-in-law, stepmom, in your opinion? Or will Kiana become an aunt like a figure to Senti, based off all those Fua x Kiana or Fua Kiana May ship memes? This question is actually very interesting. I actually think of Senti and Kiana's relationship as a rival. If you look at the newer Pokemon games, your rival is actually like a best friend or a close friend who wants you to improve, who wants you to grow. And so your rival battles are really just a way for both of you to test your skills, to test how far you've grown. And I think that is what Kiana is to Senti. They're rivals. And Senti wants to not only beat Kiana at her own game, but through trying to beat Kiana, does Senti actually grow and learn as a character, because they share very similar stories. So I actually think that they're actually more rivals than anything else. But thank you for that question. Next question that we have is, okay, we are entering the final fight. Let me skip over there. This chapter 22-7 is the start of this insanity, and this is absolutely one of the best sequences in the game. It is. This is why I love anime. This is why I love anime so goddamn much. I'm so happy that Hoyoverse got to do something like this, right? So far, they have been able to masterfully like incorporate anime and games and all their stuff all into one. And the fact that this moment is the first time where they've been able to encompass the hypest moments of anime into a video game. And you don't get that very often. You hardly get that. And so that's what I love so much about this entire thing, is because not only is this fight incredible, but it's not even the beginning. It's like not even the beginning. First off, it's really great that they're showing off how the Senti battlesuit is able to switch between 3 weapons, which is absolutely sick. But the moment where you're like, okay, this is your standard fight. We've had these cool battles with this cool like environment. It's really amazing. And then you get to this moment and you're like, oh, what's happening? Oh, a second form? Okay, I'll play this form. And then the screen loads. And then you're brought to this place. And you're like, okay, what's going on? And you may notice that I'm pretty sure I stand still for a little while because I did not realize I am playing through this sequence. So you'll see me here. Kiana's not moving because I don't think I've actually understood that I was supposed to be playing through this. Okay, maybe I did. Oh yeah, I guess maybe I did. But this is the hypest thing. Okay. Question, how do you, Elysian says, how do you like this gameplay? It's the best. This is amazing. This is the hypest. This is just the hypest moment in the history of Honkai Impact. You can't get better than this. It's so much fun because it's just everything I love about anime, where you're running towards the big bad, you're dodging their attacks. You have this beautiful environment that you're going through. It is so beautiful. It's so hype. And as Herrscher Free-to-Play mentions, this part is literally Temple Run. It absolutely is, but it's way better because it's anime. That's what I love about this. So this is just so cool. It's so much hype. And like, this battle doesn't end here. It just gets better and better. It like doesn't stop. And as Aura Guardian mentions, it also, like, this entire battle, like, this is just the start of the battle, right? It just goes insane. You see how incredibly powerful the Herrscher of Sentience is. And it's just so cool. So let's move over to these moments here where you're like jumping off like broken, destroyed, built, like, this is just the hypest shit. This is what I live for. Every time I watch anime, I'm like out of my seat. I'm screaming, I'm yelling, and being able to play through this is just, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. So I love this. I freaking love this moment. So this is absolutely amazing. And our other question is and we actually have multiple questions about how do you feel about the end of this. So we'll actually go through those ending moments as well. So how do you feel? So multiple questions about how do you feel about enjoying the last fight and a reaction to the fight sequence of Kiana. And then I believe I have one more from this. And then also from Ari Guardian, how do you feel about the Herrscher of Sentience fight? So to answer all 3 of the questions, And actually, let's jump over to that part here. So this, actually, let's do the cutscene. Cutscene's really cool too. So yeah, this fight was incredible because you had this amazing, they first start you off with like Senti changing up her weapons and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you are now running up this chain. She's throwing fires at, she's throwing like these sonic booms at you or whatever. You're dodging them, you're jumping off a bunch of things, you're doing some cool anime stuff. And then you're introduced here to the final fight and it's just, this is what I want. This is, I hope that we get this for like every major chapter moment because these are the fights that truly make Honkai Impact stick out from everything else. Of this, of like, this, I don't know, this is the culmination of things. And then Elysian mentions like, how do you rank this fight compared to the similar fights in the game? This, I would say this is the best fight out of any of the games so far. The reason being is because it's the build-up to the hype, right? I feel like if it was just a sequence, if you kept out the sequence of her running up the chain, I feel like there won't be as much impact to this fight because I think being in that position where you are quite literally like kind of running up the chain, dodging attacks and whatnot, it just adds so much like power behind what the Herrscher of Sentience is doing, and it makes it amazing. It makes it amazing, and as Johut mentions, on a scale of 1 to Yatta, how great is the Herrscher of Sentience? 20 Yattas out of 10. And yes, as Hope mentions, I guess that's why it's called Honkai Impact. Absolutely. Because this game makes an impact. Goddamn, it's so good. Okay. And yeah, as Herrscher Free Play mentions, the final fight is every anime's big fight. The hero versus the mastermind villain. Absolutely. And they've nailed this. And I hope that this build up, this anime fight really continues throughout the other chapters. So I really, really hope that this is going to happen. So we're going to switch gears very, very differently, okay? We're going to switch gears very differently because we're going to talk about some Rubia. So, and we have actually a few questions about Rubia as, you know, as a song. And we have, actually, I have a few questions about this. And also how Rubia with the proper context. So, Rubia, when I first reacted to Rubia, which was, I believe, back in January, I was like, this is a great song. I love this song. It's really good. And then everyone in the comments were like, hey, did you know it was voiced by a male VA? I'm like, whoa, no way. Now, when I listen to it, it is the saddest shit ever. It is so sad. It makes me so depressed because it is such a powerful song. And the way the song is used to play. Also, like, look how hyped this anime, like, this is the best. This is like, there's no way this is not my favorite chapter because not only do you have these incredible fight scenes, but you have this, it shares so much heart, so much love. And Rubia is just, it adds so much to the song, especially when, you know, Kiana is like trying to save Hua. And it's just, it's so freaking beautiful. I love this song so much. I wonder if I don't know if I have another about this. And yeah, that's why it become, oh, hold on. I have to take off my headphones because it's going to make me too sad to hear the song. And that kind of what lends itself to my favorite chapter, right? So far in Honkai Impact, it was short and sweet. We had an epic conclusion. The cinematic at the end was so heart-wrenching. And honestly, and we'll actually do another reaction to Shatter Samara, but I kind of wish I actually was recording my reactions to this because I was just just crying. I was bawling my eyes out because it's a moment here where it just kind of shows Kiana's commitment to saving her friends, regardless of anything. She doesn't care at all, you know. And Fu Hua here is like trying to make the hero sacrifice, but Kiana's like, no, you're not. No, you're not doing it here. You are absolutely not doing it here. And I love that. And Rubia it adds so much to this entire sequence. And that's what I love so much about this song, about the fights, and as and we'll not go there because that's actually also going to be part of the Shattered Samara reaction. So and then as Nexus mentions, up to this point, the Kiana versus Mei fight really laid the groundwork for a multi-stage spectacle like this. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I hope is that this is why it's my favorite chapter, is because they've built up to this moment. They've had so many songs that were like impactful. They had, you know, so many different fights that led up to having this chapter be as incredible as it is. So I'm excited, and I hope that, you know, the future chapters will get to these hype levels. Spoilers, they do. But yes, I'm very excited. So yeah. Hoyoverse is just an incredible group. And I love them. They're amazing. So let's get out of Hua. Let's get out of the sadness. We have another question, which is, you know, thoughts on the chapter being the big spark for the Fu Hua and Kiana ships. I don't know. I always see Kiana and Fu Hua being like very close friends, but because I'm already with the Kiana and Mei ship, I really don't see Fu Hua as anything but like a very close friend to Kiana. You know, the true ship is Mei and Kiana, so that's the one I accept. Next question is, are you a part of the Yatta cult club after this chapter? Answer, Yatta. Johut, Yatta. Johut also says, he's always in the Yatta club. Damn right. Honestly, Fu Hua was before Rita, Fu Hua was the character I loved the most. And then I saw Rita being in a maid outfit and I was like, okay. But yeah, I always part of the Yatta club. Herrscher free to play. Yatta, it's amazing. Hope, Yatta, everything about Yatta is amazing. So yeah, I am 100% a part of this cult. And then Nexus mentions, how much has this arc changed your outlook as Fu Hua as a whole? Fu Hua is the character I relate to the most. In chapter 21, I kind of discuss, chapter 20, I discuss how Fu Hua's loneliness very closely allies with my feelings of loneliness. And so I relate to Fu Hua on like a very personal level. So these group of chapters, I was just like, you are me. Like I relate to you so much. So I love Fu Hua is definitely my favorite character in the entire series because of these chapters for sure. And because Senti is Fu Hua, is a part of Fu Hua, of course Senti is also up there. So yes, that is how I answer the question. How much do you expect to change your outlook? Oh, sorry. How much do you expect ER to change your outlook on Fu Hua? I hope it does. I hope I don't hate her. You know, because obviously the Flame Chasers, they have business of their own, and sometimes maybe it might not be the best. And so I hope that Fu Hua is someone who has stuck to her guns and maybe isn't an asshole in the previous era. So fingers crossed it doesn't change it. How do you feel about How do you feel about Kiana's words before she goes after Hua? I love it. If these are the ones, if you're mentioning what's happening here right now, it's absolutely. I love it because it just shows Kiana's commitment to saving Hua regardless of anything. You know? Like, she doesn't like, it's like, okay, you're going to sacrifice yourself, fine. Then I'm going to sacrifice myself to make sure your sacrifice is in vain so you don't die, you know? So I feel like she's never going to give up. And that's what I love so much. Okay. I think that's it for the questions. So we're going to jump into a brief reaction to Shattered Samsara. I know we've seen a brief glimpse of it here, but we're going to truly dive in to this scene. So let me switch over. So we're going to go, I'm going to quickly change the capture here to make sure that we are perfect. And then I could hide this. I could show this. Okay, it does not want to show that. It may be, now it does. Here, what if I just did this? Okay. Time to take a look. Let's clear out of this. All right, yeah, I'll answer a question here while I get the video set up. Thoughts on Hua and Kevin's relationship? P.S. Hua did call Kevin and Sue brothers, most likely brothers in arms, in the second key manga. So this one, I like their relationship. I wish that we got to see more of it in the main story. Like, all the good stuff between Kiana and Kevin happen outside of the main story. So I assume that in ER we'll get more of that actual conversations. But I hope that we see some of that also in the main story as well. So I hope that we get to see more of this in the main story. But I like their relationship. Because they were, you know, heroes. They were meant to be heroes of the previous era. So it makes sense for them to have this like very close bond to each other, you know, because they're the only ones who can really rely on each other, because they're the only ones who can truly survive this chaotic mess. And I guess, you know, after knowing someone for hundreds and hundreds of years, like, you're like, okay, I guess we're family at this point, you know. But yeah, I feel that. That makes sense. So let's see if I can pull up. Maybe? How about this? There we go. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, perfect. Okay, here we go. And then audio should be working as well. Oh wait, you just see a blurry mess here. What is this? Hold on. Why do you see a... Why did it stretch that out like that? Okay. Why is it stretched out like that? Give me just a moment. Let me unstretch this. Okay, how about this? Excellent. There's more of her arm here. Perfect. More of her arm here. Perfect. Okay. Now we're good. Also, it's crazy that this entire sequence is 6 minutes. And the music. It's just so good. This is what I'm saying. It's just it's so hype. Like, this is what I want for this is what I want for every single great finale of a chapter. And then here, Kiana feels threatened and she summons the void. Oh my god. Look at this! Look how cool they are. It's so amazing, man. Just seeing how good this is. Yeah, and as Nexus mentions, I love how they just tie like 2D with their actual 3D animation. It's so perfect. Like, look at like the fact that she like throws it behind her. Oh, God, it's so dope. And you can see the Phoenix. Oh.
Kiana,
harness your power.
回忆起我教你的。
I love that the music's really quiet, the sound effects are very quiet, kind of building up this like emotional hype.
神者变化之极，妙万物之为。
And here, Kiana's not, you know, being moved by her emotions. Oh, it's so good. Oh, even like the etched lines. Oh my God. Yeah, it's definitely one of the best cinematics as well.
谢谢你 ，Kiana。
Thank you, Kiana.
律者就交给我了。幻境即将解除。
This was like, I was like, no, Fua's not leaving us. We're gonna get her. No, do not. I was so afraid. I was so afraid here.
等于下半场，应该还有其他办法。
Could be other
或
way.
许吧，但这是我的使命。
Aka, there are other ways. Oh, and then Rubia starts to slowly play. Why is it always like this? Oh. He lost Himeko. Trading sacrifices for so-called victories is unacceptable. It's just such a good line. Come back to me. Oh my. And the effects of her like tearing through this like boy. Oh my God. Phoenix, I didn't lie. And she's like feeling the memories of Hua. Oh my God. I never tricked you. Those who trust me were harmed by me. I'll shrug it off. She sees all the memories of... Oh, man. It's so good. Oh, that's so good! She breaks through the seal! Oh my God. I love it. It's so good. Why are you here? I love this. Then I'll wreck her good again. I love this, man. Kiana is such a good friend. The world is ever changing. I have grown accustomed to parting and despair. I have lost touch with time. I struggle in the Samsara. Oh, my mission. I went too quickly. And here's all her different versions of herself. But the reflection never changes. That's what I love. It's such a good animation. Everything changes here. It's amazing. It's definitely It's definitely one of the best. Definitely one of the best sequences, animations. It just has so much impact, and I love the fact that, and we talked about this in the beginning of this video, where, you know, I don't like how, you know, you don't have to kill, people don't have to always die at the end of these episodes or these chapters. And I love the fact that Kiana was just like, why do you have to sacrifice yourself to become, to like, for victories? Like that, like, it's unacceptable. Don't do this. Like, she was like, I already dealt with this with Himeko. I'm not going to deal with this with you. I'm going to break through this. And I love that. I love the fact that Kiana's just like, I hate this sacrificial stuff. Like, we don't need to go through this. It's the best. We have a few more questions. So before we end the video, we have a few more questions. So let's just get through some of these questions. So here are some of the comments about, like, you know, about the Shatter Samsara animation, right? I love how they tied the 2D animation throughout the cinematic. I absolutely. The folks who are animating this are incredible. The sequence feels like it's 1 minute when it's longer than a music video. It does. Like, it is crazy that we just literally sat through 6 minutes and it doesn't feel like it. So yeah, they make things feel quick. They are constantly shifting, changing things. Even the moment where she's breaking through the seal, even though it's technically in slow motion, it feels like this whole scene goes by so quickly. I love it. And as Nexus points out, yeah, they up the detail of the facial expressions, especially for Senti's anger. 100% agree, especially when they had the close-up and you see like the sketched lines for her. They are masters of anime and art. It's perfect. And then Elise mentions, do you think Fu Hua ever learned about the events of the second key manga and what happened to... I think that she does after this chapter. In terms of like, because after this chapter, it makes me believe that Fu Hua has gained her memories back of all of her past. And so I would assume that she would also have gained the memories of the events that happened in this. So yeah, I would say that she did. And then Nexus also mentions this moment here when it hits Kiana, how it feels to receive what she said to Mei. Oh, when Mei went to go rescue her as well. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, Hoyoverse just does such a great job of making characters realize the motivations of other characters by being put in nearly a similar position. It's very, very. Elysian Empire also mentions when Kiana and Senti perform either EOT, you can see their Herrscher stigmas. Oh, you know what? You're right, because that's where the Phoenix part comes in. When I have to go. Yeah, good catch. Good catch. That's what I mean. Like, they just add these details in these animations that are just so, like, they add all these details in their animation that's just, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. The scene where Kiana about to broken in the falling swords always hits me hardest. Talking about the broken swords part, I believe it's like over here. It's one of these moments. But I do like that she is able to form the swords all together, form it into a blade, fire it back at. It's just so expertly. It's just so expert. It's amazing. Nexus mentions it's also the point of development when Kiana starts rethinking the idea of sacrificing himself for others. That is a good point, because yeah, Kiana has been the one who is always the one ready to sacrifice her own life for other people. And as Elysian mentions, you know, the Castellana Oath is a suicide cult. Changed my mind. And their motto is definitely very much like, I'm going to put myself on the line regardless of anything. You know, so you know, it could be seen as a suicide cult. Reaver mentions, How do you feel about Kiana and Mei drifting apart in the last few chapters and Kiana having to rely and learn to protect her other friends so much? I appreciate this. I think that, and I think that it kind of showed in chapter 17 that like the Kiana and Mei relationship, they need to be apart for a little while, you know, because they need to grow up, you know, and then hopefully come back together, you know. I feel like they have not yet learned the world, and they're still stupid teenagers, and they still need to learn and grow more. And I think through having them be separated, for having them experience different things, they're able to grow and learn from those experiences to then come back together. So that's my ultimate hope, because I am a Kiana Mei fan. So I do hope that they do come together after their tremendous journeys and explorations throughout these like next couple of chapters. Thank you for that question. The next question we have is from Elysian Empire. How do you think Kevin or Sue would react to Hua's assassination and her interactions between Hua and Senti? What do you think, Ken? Interesting. About Hua's assassination and her interactions between. I think they would be okay. Because I think that Kevin and Sue trust Hua with her powers, with her abilities, that I feel like they don't think that she will get out of hand, or they don't think that she won't be capable of doing things, you know? I think it's much different than like how other people perceived Kiana with the Herrscher of the Void, right? I think it's very, very different in terms of those perspectives. So I think that they'll be fine about it. They'll be like, okay, just making sure you got that handled. I don't think that they'll be aggressive towards Hua is basically my thing. And about her assassination, I mean, I feel like Kevin would already know, unless we're not talking about Otto's assassination. Maybe we're talking about the 7 Disciples assassinations. But I think Kevin would already know. I think Sue is like, well, at least you're alive now. Happy for that, you know? I think that's like kind of Sue's mentality. He's a very laid back guy. So he's like, well, I'm glad you're alive now, you know? Oh, and then Elysian meant, like, I meant about the seed of Samsara, Bianca, and Sue's interactions and Sue's fate at the end. Oh, in terms of the previous question you have asked. Bianca and Sue's interaction and Sue's fate at the end. I'm not sure how to answer this question for now. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to answer this. But I'll move on to your next question, which is, Kiana is the second of Hua's students to perform an EOT. I had no idea. Okay, that's cool. Oh, you know what? I think I know who you're referring to for the second one. But I think that's a spoiler for a later chapter. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out and joining me as I kind of gush about chapter 22 of Honkai Impact. If you want to learn about how to submit your questions for chapter 23, where we're learning about Seele and her other half, and maybe also how I wish the relationship between those two will also be the relationship between Hua and Senti, post in the YouTube comment below. Or you can also, wait for the post to go up on YouTube Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll also make a post there. Or you can join the Discord and submit a question there as well. They'll all kind of work. Either way, they'll all kind of work. You can do it either way. And thank you to Herrscher Free to Play for pointing this out, because it's very, very important. It was a question about Genshin. Also post, when are you doing your next Genshin stream? My next Genshin stream will be happening, I'm planning for it to happen next week. I don't know what Archon quest I'll be going through, but next week over on the main YouTube channel, which I did not have prepared. But let me see if I can just at myself. I cannot. Okay. Let me get... I should have been prepared, but I didn't. So let me get the link to the other... But yes, next week on the main channel, I will be doing a Genshin stream. I don't know what Archon quest I'll be going through just yet, or I might be going through a story quest. I'm not quite sure, but I'll be going through one of those quests next week. Not quite sure what time, but I'll make sure to get a post up on Sunday, both on this channel that you're watching this on and also on main channel about this stream. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun of me just chilling and playing Genshin. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much for taking time to watch this video. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Next chapter is going to get crazy. Honestly, the next few chapters are going to get wild and crazy. So I am very excited. And one last question from Elysium before we leave. Thoughts on Kiana's personality, somewhat reverting to her pre-Chiba school where she met Mei and Nagazora, personality as shown in 3-year Sakura and growing from there. I think, I don't want to say it's reverting because it means that she doesn't grow. I think that she has become the person that she always was finally. I think that's how I see it. She's not reverting back, it's just that she has now finally become who she really is as a person. And she had some struggles, she had some mistakes, she had some missteps, but now she has finally figured herself out. And so that's kind of how I take that in terms of her personality changing, is that she has just finally become herself. She is confident in who she is. Yes, thank you all for your questions. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And until next time, I will see you all later. Bye.